Portrait right is the key to salary inquiry of Leicester Tigers. Premiership Rugby's investigation into Leicester Tigers will examine whether players held a contract for off-the-books payments with an image rights company that was facilitated by the club and not declared to the salary cap authorities. Revealed last week that Premiership Rugby had launched an inquiry into Leicester's links with worldwide image management and allegations of historical third-party payments to players. The club said that they were cooperating, and Steve Borthwick, who joined Leicester as head coach in 2020, stressed that the investigation was looking back years and not into how the club is run today. Andrew Rogers, PRL's salary cap director, is limited by the regulations to investigate only the past 5 years, has been told of deals that predated the 2016-17 season in which players who could justify receiving image rights, often those joining the club from abroad, would have 3 different contracts. 2 of the arrangements were with Leicester, an employment contract and a separate image rights deal between club and the player's own limited company. Has been told by 2 sources that these were for cap purposes. Multiple sources have confirmed the player would also sign a separate contract directly with WM that made no mention of Leicester. Rogers will need to ascertain from his inquiry whether the club facilitated players signing such contracts with WM as part of their salary negotiations within the past 5 years, and, if so, whether that income was declared to the salary cap authority. Third-party image rights deals, such as those alleged to have existed between WM and high-profile Leicester players, can be legitimate and are not necessarily a breach of the salary cap regulation. However, if a player's deal with WM was tied to his employment at the club, then Leicester are believed to have been obliged to declare it under the salary cap, even though it was off their book. In terms of the salary cap rules, this is about effective cause, a source said. An individual based, let's say in Australia, is coming to play for a Premiership club. So what's the amount? £150,000, but well, actually make sure that he gets £180,000. How are you going to do that? We will effectively cause it that he has an income of £180,000, but they would be declaring £150,000 to the salary cap manager. If the player came to a club, and say a third party were never mentioned, had beyond £150,000. Where's the other £30,000 coming from? It's coming from that third party. Who's the effective cause of that player earning £30,000 from other rights? Well, the club are. It is all to do with effective cause and the relationship between the contract for those rights and the club. I don't know the relationship at Leicester, but that is the key. It may have still been going on from 2016 onward. Simon Cohen, who was Leicester chief executive between 2011 and 2020, declined to comment when contacted by Andrea Pinchin, who was promoted from chief operating officer to succeed Cohen, is understood to have been interviewed by PRL. The league's salary cap office was handed stronger investigatory powers as part of an overhaul in November 2020, which permitted them access to players' tax returns and bank statements, which can now be compared against the club's declaration. HMRC confirmed in March that it was looking into the image rights and agents' fee arrangements at all 13 Premiership clubs, having conducted a similar exercise in football. But the tax authorities declined to comment on whether that inquiry had uncovered any irregularities. Central to PRL's investigation will be whether Rogers can determine from where WM received its funding. Has been told there was no direct financial link running from the club to the company, which was shut down voluntarily in February. Saracens were relegated in 2020 after being docked 105 points and fined £5.36 million for breaching salary cap regulations in 4 different seasons. It was ruled that a series of property and business investments should have been declared as salary. There have been 3 salary cap amnesties in the history of the Premiership, most recently in 2015 when 2 clubs struck a deal to halt an investigation.